And we are live. Woo! What's up, party people? We have a really exciting show today. A very special guest, Mr. Mike Barron, the co-creator of such amazing characters as the Badger and Nexus, and prolific writer for Marvel and DC. So we're going to pick his brain about comics past, comics present, and comics future. How are you doing today, Mike?
Good.
And we're going to be talking with we're going to get hopefully some questions in the chat. And Macho, if you could just have the chat up and rocking and rolling.
I got it rocking and rolling. We already have E Ortiz in the chat.
All right, sweet. What's up, E Ortiz? Okay, so Mike, I've got a series of questions for you, but I wanted to give you kind of an opportunity just to start out with what we're doing presently. So please take a minute and talk about your current projects that you have going on. And let's start with Offworlder, because that's one going on right now on Indiegogo. And Macho will pull that up momentarily as soon as he can, and we'll let people see that as we're talking about it.
Yeah, Offworlder is Ben Henderson's idea. It's through Cautionary Comics, but I wrote it. I'm
Awesome.
very excited about it. It's Ben's idea, but this is what it is. 7th century Scotland. Henry Gunn leads his clan in a ferocious battle with Viking invaders. But with victory in sight, he is ripped from space and time by an alien race. The Anunnaki seek a champion to stop another alien race from conquering all known space. Aided by the Egyptian goddess Sarah, Gunn undergoes a hideous transformation, becoming something other than human, able to move through time and space at will, yet unable to save his wife and child. The fate of civilization rests on the shoulders of a troubled demigod. In the tradition of The Stars My Destination and The Silver Surfer, Offworlder is a star-spanning science fiction saga that will keep you riveted from first page to last. We're running this campaign on Indiegogo, and if you want to know what it looks like, go to the Indiegogo page and scroll down. The first issue is done, 24 pages, completely illustrated and inked, and at least half those pages are available for you to look at on our Indiegogo. And the art is stunning. Nobody's ever seen art like this. This is Jordi Armengol. He's Spanish. Seeing his art for the first time is like seeing Steranko or Jim Lee or Frank Miller for the first time. He's that good. And you'll see if you go to the page and just scroll down, just keep scrolling down. When you get to those black and white pages, you'll see that we could have printed this book in just black and white and it would be stunning.
Oh, wow. Yeah, look at that. Look at that.
But beyond that, it's a pretty good script. My whole goal in writing anything is to grab the reader by the throat, and I know how to do that. And by that, I mean there are no wasted panels. There's no unserious dialogue. There's nothing to jar you out of your suspension of disbelief. Once you enter into the comic, it will become your reality until you finish it.
But well, the artwork looks amazing. The story sounds absolutely epic. So this. How many pages is this first issue here?
Well, it's going to be 48 pages of story.
Okay.
Cool.
And you're planning to do more, like there's going to be several of these? Is this the first part of a series?
It's a 5-issue arc. Most of the things I write these days are 5-issue arcs.
Well, it looks amazing. The aliens look crazy. The the Scottish demigod looks amazing. It's just one of those things that seems very unique to me. So when I find something like this that I really don't know what to compare it to, that's usually a good thing.
Yeah,
absolutely. Well, I would compare it to Silver Surfer. You know, I think that's an admirable goal, and it's the type of milieu. It's the same type of feeling that I'm striving for, which is an intergalactic space opera with a lot of breadth and scope and drama.
Yeah, well, and you definitely have plenty of practice doing that. So I love that cover too. Now, is that the same artist that did?
That's Jordi. Yeah, Jordi Armengol.
Man,
I mean the.
Oh no, that's not Jordi.
This is something else. I was gonna say this doesn't look like him, but this is a cool. This is a cool image.
That might be Stephen Strange. I'm not sure.
Doesn't say. Pin up by. I'm not gonna try to
Oh, that's got to be a friend of Jordy's, since nobody can pronounce that name.
Yeah, I'm not going to try to pronounce that thing.
And you got some cool swag there. Is that like a pin or something that comes with it? What is it?
Looks like a pin.
There's buttons, there's plates, there's aprons, there's hats. No, there is a special coin though, and there'll be like a metal foil cover, which you can use to disembowel.
You're talking my language. I love a metal foil cover. That's probably one of my favorite things in life.
And it looks like you got some other guys attached. Got Mike Miller attached to it, and Jimbo Salgado. That's cool.
Yeah.
So some really great artists, and the artwork by the main artist looks absolutely breathtaking for sure. So is this taken from a real, because it's Scottish versus Vikings in the beginning of the story. So is this taken from sort of a real life time, or is it kind of made up time place to begin with?
No, it's real in the sense that Henry Gunn is one of Ben Henderson's ancestors. He was a real person.
Okay.
A Scottish laird. As
That's
for Sarah, I made her up, but I did a lot of research. I read a biography of Cleopatra, and it shows. I learned some things which I was able to incorporate in the story.
Okay, right on, man. Well, it looks absolutely amazing. And so, guys, definitely, if you have not backed this is a worthwhile comic book to back. 48 pages of, looks like to me, pure awesome.
Yeah, absolutely.
The Offworlder, Scottish demigod, defeats Viking army and becomes the protector of a foreign world through alien abduction.
Yeah, the book itself is going to be more than 48 pages. That's just a story. That we're going to have a lot of guest art.
Yeah.
Oh, okay. Yeah, so some pinups and different things in there that's going to thicken that book up a little bit. Awesome.
Yeah.
Now, Ben Henderson did some the foil covers, or he did like the metallic covers on his
Ravager.
Yeah.
Ravager, yeah, right there.
Do you think that'll be the same with this one possibly? Because I know that was a big hit.
Well, I know he's got them planned. To me, the metal cover's not the thing. Although, again, in the hands of a capable ninja, it can be very dangerous. but those comics probably last a lot longer.
Yeah. Okay. Well, let's talk about Florida Man. Can you tell us a little bit about that?
Florida Man is his comic book series.
I have the wrong Florida Man up.
No,
Hold on.
No. You're not going to find it. It's not. We haven't.
Oh, you're not up yet. That's okay.
No. But 5 issues are written, and I have a great artist in Todd Mulrooney, and I've been posting art. I've been posting the art on Facebook. But when I was finished with the 5 issues, I realized I had the outline for a novel. And now I'm almost done with the novel, and the novel goes way beyond the comic.
Oh, man. That sounds great.
Well, can you tell us, like, who's the I've seen some images of Florida Man. I've seen Todd Mulrooney's art. Todd is a very good artist, got a great style, and it looks like his style is a really interesting fit for this kind of story. It makes me want to know more about the main character.
Florida Man was here. Right.
Gary Duba's having a bad day. There's a snake in his toilet, a rabid raccoon in the yard, and this girl Crystal's in jail for getting naked at a Waffle Hut and kissing the manager. So with his best friend Floyd, Gary sets out to sell his prize Barry Bonds rookie card to raise the $500 for bail. But things get out of hand.
Wow.
That sounds
and believe me,
amazing.
It's got everything you want in a Florida Man comic. He wrestles alligators. There are constant encounters with invasive species. He gets in fist fights at fast food restaurants. But it's also not what you think, because it's not a cheap satire of a rube. In many ways, Gary is the most admirable person in the story. And you'll see what I mean when you read it.
Yeah. Well, I want to know more about it for sure. What I've seen is the cover, which is a guy flying on an alligator. So
I was gonna see if I could find it here.
Does he have magic powers, or?
No, that's a little artistic license, but it is a great cover.
It's a dynamic
fantastic
cover. It makes me want to get that book. That cover is a great cover.
If you like, I'll post it to my Facebook page right now, and you can find it there.
Oh yeah, I love a great Florida Man news story. Like, if you type in Florida Man into Google, and I found this out earlier, is if you just
With
type
your
in
birthday.
Florida
You
Man
have to
out.
do it with your birthday.
Oh, really?
Yeah,
Oh,
that's the
we
Florida
should.
Man challenge.
Oh man, let's do that right now.
Go ahead. Do your birthday first.
Okay, I just posted it on my Facebook page, Michael A.
Okay.
Barron.
All right.
You know, I'll post it in on Twitter too, so it's easy to find.
Okay, cool. That'd be perfect.
So now, do you have some kind of because you're not a Florida guy, right?
No, but I've
Okay.
been there a lot, and
Okay.
I can identify. I can identify.
So is there a little bit of Mike and Gary?
You know, every writer has to bring his personal experiences to a story, but it's also the writer's job to imagine the point of view of every character.
Right.
And hopefully you'll have a diverse round of characters. And Gary doesn't really reflect me at all. I don't think I would act that rashly.
Yeah.
But on the other hand, as I said, in many ways, Gary's the most admirable character in the story. And you'll find out why when you read it. He's got a lot of heart. But the point of the comic is to make you laugh and gasp.
Yeah.
I had a writing teacher when I was at college, Jerry McNeely, and he said, you make them laugh a little bit, you make them cry a little bit, you scare the hell out of them, and that's entertainment.
That's great.
Yeah. I love that. Now, all right. So Gary's a very interesting character. Can you tell us what was your favorite character to write? The most fun character for you to write?
Well, I got to say, Gary's probably the most fun. But you know, for the last 10 years, I've been very happy with all my writing, and I would put Josh Pratt up there.
And Josh Pratt
he's the protagonist of Biker.
Okay.
There will be 6 Biker novels out by the end of the year. There are 2 out now. There were 4, but I've just switched publishers. And right now, Biker and Sons of Privilege is out. And before the end of the year, there will also be Not Fade Away, Sons of Bitches, Buffalo Hump, and Bloodline. And this is gritty stuff. This is crime suspense story. And Josh Pratt's a reformed motorcycle hoodlum who went to prison and found God and came out determined to turn his life around.
Wow. Okay.
He's one of those guys
Man.
who has 1 foot in the law and 1 foot outside. He's a long tradition of characters like these, such as John D. MacDonald's Travis McGee, on whom he's loosely based or at least inspired. Philip Marlowe is another one. Jack Reacher is another one. You know the type. Yeah. The Destroyer, the Executioner. Josh is not like that. He's a very humble man, but he's not somebody you want to cross, and he gets things done. And his adventures are extreme. He just, because of who he is and who he knows and the decisions he makes. In the first one, he's tracking down a baby that was stolen 16 years ago from its mother, and it just leads to the most horrendous encounter in the wilds of Wyoming and a meeting with the living fiend. All the villains in these books are pretty harsh.
But these are hardcore crime novels.
Yes.
Is there anything that you can compare it to? Is it like Sons of Anarchy or anything like that?
I love Sons of Anarchy, and I've seen every show, but I wrote Biker before that ever came on.
Okay.
Wow.
I would like to have people compare him to John D. MacDonald's Travis McGee. He's my hero and the inspiration for this type of story, as he is for so many other writers I know, like Chuck Dixon's Levon Cade.
Now, Levon Cade, is that from a novel also?
Yeah, Chuck's got at least 5 Levon novels out. It's going to be a TV show.
Really?
Yeah.
Man, that's awesome.
Okay.
Well, hey, I wanted to let you guys know real quick.
Yeah.
That on my birthday this year, Florida Man was decapitated by a helicopter. And I also wanted to let you know I found a website that is selling T-shirts that says "Beware of Florida Man."
All right, let's put that up real quick.
You guys check that out.
Yeah. Beware
We
of Florida Man.
should put our own Florida Man shirts out.
Oh,
That's just
you
like
should
hotcakes.
absolutely do some Florida
In
Man
fact,
shirts.
yeah, I'm going to get in on that. I'm going to talk about that tomorrow. See what
Yeah, it looks like you'd probably clean up if you did that. That looks like a pretty popular item.
Yeah, I would think that would be pretty good.
Well, I think this novel is going to be a thermonuclear bomb because there's nothing like it.
That's great. No, it's gonna be great. When I first saw it, I was like, that is absolute genius. Because it's expanding an urban myth kind of the Floridaite that's already out there.
I always say that I don't choose the stories choose me.
Yeah, that's
and
awesome.
Florida Man chose me, and the reason was because I kept seeing one Florida Man story after another and got me thinking.
That's great. That's great.
Well, it's great. So, of all the characters you've written, and you've written quite a bit, you've written a lot for Marvel, DC, a lot of the mainstream characters, and a lot of also indie characters. Who's a character that you have not written that you would like to write a story for? A comic book character that you have not written?
Shang-Chi.
Okay, really?
Man, that's awesome. I love that. That's your answer.
And you have some. You're a black belt, is that correct?
Yes.
So you would have a real good connection with Shang-Chi, I imagine.
Well, as a writer, it's my job to imagine these characters, and I think I could imagine a real strong Shang-Chi. But one thing I know I can do in comics is choreograph a fight scene that's both realistic and exciting. And that's been one of the things that got me into comics in the first place, was the realization that when I was watching martial arts in comics, it wasn't really martial arts, it was just posing.
Yeah.
Like a fist swinging in close up and 5 pairs of shoes flying off the panel.
Right.
But I was always fascinated with the mechanics of combat, which is why I got involved in martial arts.
Okay.
And my comics are very intricately choreographed, and they're not only believable but exciting. And just you could look at the last Badger series we did about 3 years ago, which Vail Myerick illustrated, and Badger fights Vladimir Putin, and it's one of the greatest fights ever put in a comic.
That's
wow.
Awesome.
I'm gonna have to check that out. So, like, our book Hero there's a lot of fighting now, and you have to understand that we're complete noobs at this. Okay, this is our very first comic, and we're doing our absolute best to make a profound product that's going to be great that people are going to love. One of the things I love to draw is the fight scenes and choreograph the fight scenes. And I'm kind of taking a lot of cues from Jack Kirby in the way that he did a lot of the choreographing, because I felt like a lot of the times Jack Kirby was kind of underrated in the sense of the way that he would choreograph fights. But so you write the fights out for your artists to do you write it out? What's the process like when you are putting together a fight scene for your artist?
I write, I draw, and if I can get with the cartoonist, I enact.
Okay,
that's great.
Yeah, but I'll send you a script later, and you'll see how that the fight scenes are very tightly choreographed and easy to understand. And I'll use photo reference when I can. For instance, old issues of Black Belt and Kung Fu Illustrated would have photo by photo technique articles showing how to execute a joint lock or a throw, and I'll send those to the artist, and we'll plug those into the appropriate part.
I would love to see that. And we've got backers that have signed up for perks where they get knocked out, and so I've got to take I've got to give them poses.
Oh, you mean on paper?
Well, yeah. Knocked out on paper. Yeah, we did have a perk that was a funny perk for Macho to fly down to their house and knock them out, but that wasn't going to go over too well.
Nobody signed up for that one, unfortunately.
Go figure.
Yeah. So but I would love to see like how you've done it in the past. If you could give me any reference on that, that would be much appreciated, because I've got to figure out how to help sort of normies turn their face or head or whatever as if they're being struck by our character hero.
Photo ref.
We do have one of our guys in the chat that it will be dying in our book too. Not only is he going to get beat up a little bit, he's going to die, and that's our pal Septinov 7 of 9. He signed up and he's
That's a real premium.
That's right. That was a premium level, and he's excited to fight our character hero.
Yeah, it's going to be good. All right, so Mike, if one thing that we ask, everybody that's on our show, and you know, unfortunately for you, you're no exception. Even though you're the great Mike Barron, we're still going to ask you these same questions that we ask everybody that comes on our show. 2 questions. The first one is, and you can answer them. The first one is, have you ever been in a street fight? And if so, did you win?
Yes and no.
All right, you got to tell us about it. What happened?
Oh, I was a kid on a subway in Boston. I lived in Boston after I graduated from university. And there were some guys on the subway acting up. And I told them to knock it off. And then we got in each other's faces and they shoved me down hard and ran off the subway.
Oh, man. In
What were they
Boston.
doing? What were they doing?
They had a boom box, and the boom box was delightfully spreading their love of rap music to all within ear range.
And you got up in their face and you paid for it.
Yeah.
All right. Hey, that's a manly move. Hats off. Manly move. Way to go. All right.
That's when I started training soon after that.
That probably would make you want to train, wouldn't it?
Yeah.
Being in a situation like that. All right. So here's the other question. What is the worst job you've ever had?
Oh, man, I was working on a canning line in Sun Prairie, Wisconsin, where they were canning peas and stuff.
Oh, yeah.
In the summer, it was like 108 degrees.
Oh, my God.
People were dropping like flies.
Yeah, okay, good one. That's way worse than any job Macho's ever had. He's had it way easier than that.
Way easier, 100%. That does sound terrible, though, for real.
All right, I got another one for you. I know that you've been to probably hundreds of, or maybe thousands of shows, comic book shows, right? Conventions. Give us a weird fan story.
Well, once I was in Australia and I was signing comics. This was like back in the 80s, I think. And big guy sits down right in front of me. You know, there's a line behind him. He pulls up a chair and sits down. He says, "Who is stronger, Hulk or Superman?" And I said, "Well, I don't know. I'm not. Those aren't my characters. I've never written them, and even if I did write them, I wouldn't have a clear opinion on that." So he leans forward. He says, "Who is stronger, Hulk or Superman?" And this went on. Finally, the pressure behind him built up. He said, "Move on, you wanker!" And finally, he stood up and left.
That's awesome.
What an imposing situation. I would hate to be in that situation. Were you sitting at like your table when that happened?
Yeah, I was sitting at the table in a comic show.
Yeah, there are some weirdos in the comic book business. Definitely.
Yeah, to say the least.
To say the least.
So I have a question for you, Mike. As a writer, like I have some favorite writers, ones that inspire me or ones that get me excited to sit down and write a story. So I guess my question is, who's your favorite comic book writer that is out there? It could be indie or it could be mainstream. And then also follow-up question, what is your favorite indie book aside from Hero? Because I know that's your favorite, but your other favorite book.
Well, you know, I always considered Karl Barks the architect of not the architect of modern comics, but a master of storytelling. I learned a lot from him. My favorite independent is probably Stray Bullets by David Lapham.
Okay, cool.
Okay, yeah.
So,
Karl Barks, is that Uncle Scrooge?
Yes.
Okay, yeah, awesome. Yeah, and the illustrator, right?
Yes, but as far as writing comics, I feel that my comic writing now and for the past several years is not influenced by other comics at all, but but by my understanding of what constitutes story.
So would you say it's more image based?
You mean as in what you see?
Yeah, like obviously comics are a visual medium. So when you say that it's not
Well,
influenced by
that's
the
very
comic,
important. And it's the second most important rule that I have, which is show, don't tell. The
Mm,
first is it's the writer's job to entertain.
Mm.
Number two, show, don't tell. And three, be original. Show, don't tell sounds so simple, but it's not, because we can all look back at thousands and thousands of comics with needless repetitive word balloons telling us what we're seeing
Yep.
and people remarking on what we're seeing when they should just let the picture carry the story. And that doesn't mean I'm in favor of wordless comics. I think they're a bad idea because you zip through them too fast. And words are there for a purpose, but the words are usually not only do they advance the story, but they reveal character. And that's what rule number 3 should be about, is be original. Is when you have your character speak, do so in your own language, in fresh language, in words that have not been used 1,000 times before. It's not that difficult if you think about it and you draw on your own experiences.
wow, that's great. Did you write that down, Macho? Those were 3 things you need to write down.
I totally blacked out. I forgot everything.
Well, you can go
I'm
back
just
and
like
watch.
I'm just joking. No, absolutely. That's awesome. Those are I haven't had those. I guess that's not something that I've thought about a lot. But I think those are things that are important to me too. Because like in our book, when we were when I was writing it, I wrote it for Mutt. There's a lot happening in the scene, and I kind of tried to even break down ideas for him. Like he's the visual artist, so he needs to tell that part. But that was what's most important to me as a storyteller, is to get it, like you're saying, get it through visually. And I do try to cut down on the word use, because I'm not good at words anyway. I'm not good at words as just a talking, I guess.
Macho's
But,
Macho's a great storyteller.
yeah,
Like
I'm a great storyteller. That's
he's
right.
a great storyteller. He's a great idea person, and then together as a team, I think we've got a great comic book that we've created together. But
Right.
it's really interesting to hear how you talk about the process, because I think there's probably some things there that we could definitely learn and we could take away from this conversation, and probably improve on in our own process.
Right.
Do you give, like when you're working with an artist, do you give a specific outline type of script, or do you have your own method that you use?
First, I write a complete outline. It covers the whole story arc, and the outline has to be entertaining and fun to read. So when I hand you that outline, you're not going to slog your way through it like you're cutting through a jungle. You're gonna hoover it up because
Right.
you love it, and when you put it down, you say, yeah, where's the comic?
Yeah.
And then I write a complete script. And a complete script goes like this: page 1, panel 1, horizontal, night, exterior, strip mall, liquor store, karate studio, pet shop. A couple of skateboarders played in the parking lot. There's no pickup truck there. Voices from inside. Hey, Bob, where'd you put the scissors? What scissors? Whatever. I mean, that's how I write a script. And then you go to panel 2, interior, pet shop, night. We see Bob and Vale. And then I'll describe them. And sometimes I'll use shortcut by saying Bob is Brad Pitt.
Yeah.
And Vale is whoever.
Yeah. Some recognizable person. Yeah. I have neglected the chat quite a bit during this conversation because I'm enthralled with what you're talking about. But let me go over real quick and look at the chat and say hi to some people. We got E. Ortiz, as we've said. What's up, Jimmy? Hope you're doing good today. We've got Michael Beacon. We've got Septanov, as been mentioned. The Great Seven, the Evil Seven. Let's see. We've got Bruce Patnod, the great one, Bruce Patnod. Hope you're doing good today, Bruce. Let's see. We've also got Derricos Galvin. Thank you for joining us.
That's Cody. That's Cody.
Oh, okay. Right on, Cody. Right on. I forgot about that name. That's a crazy name. Christopher C is back. We haven't seen him in a minute. It's good to see you, Christopher.
He's back, busting chops like a champ.
Busting chops. He is one of those guys, and he does not pull punches. Paulus Mobus, thank you for joining us.
Paulus Mobus did a really great hero fan art a while back too.
Oh wow, cool.
Yeah,
All right. Well, just if you guys have a question that you'd like us to ask Mike, just put it in the chat and at one of us so that we see it, and we'll be glad to ask that question. But while they're coming up with their questions, I have a personal question that I wanted to ask you about, Mike. You have done a lot of Punisher stories, and I've got some pretty strong opinions on the Punisher movies and TV show that's been put out. And I wanted to know what you thought about some of the movies and shows, and what you thought was done well and what you thought was not done well.
Well, they all suck. But Ray Stevenson was the best Punisher.
Really?
Yeah, and I'd love to see him in a serious story. It's such an easy story to get right. I don't know how they can get it wrong so often. On the other hand, the Netflix series, I've only seen 2 episodes, but I was impressed. I'm not saying that's my Punisher or the ideal Punisher, but they were very serious scripts, and that actor was fine in the role. He's a little small.
Yeah, he's a small guy. Yeah,
but otherwise he's perfect, you know. And I'll probably watch more.
Yeah, I like the first season. The second season has been panned by almost everybody, so I haven't even watched it.
I didn't even watch it.
Everybody says the second season is just it just got real weird, and it wasn't the Punisher. You know, and the Punisher is pretty one-dimensional, if you ask me. It's a guy who's out to do as much damage to the bad guys as possible. I'm really interested in that it was the Ray Stevens version. What's Stevenson? What's his name?
Stevenson.
Yeah, he's a large guy, right? He's a big guy. Yeah. And so that imposing figure on the screen definitely looked great as the Punisher. Is that why? Because you think?
Well, partially, he's a very fine actor.
Yeah, I think that's Warzone, and that's also Chris
Warzone,
Kronk. Yeah, Chris is saying that Punisher Warzone is the best Marvel movie out there. And
no, it's the best Punisher movie.
Best Punisher. Yeah, that's it. He says it's the best Marvel too. But you know what they say about he has an opinion, and you know what they say about opinions, right? So I actually haven't seen that movie. But I know it just recently, I think, came on to Netflix. So that is on my queue. I never seem to get through my queue, but it's on my queue.
Hyper violent, and the rub on that movie was that the violence overshadowed the story. You know,
okay.
It was a silly story and a silly script, and it's not a movie I would rush to see.
Yeah,
there are other vengeance movies that are far superior.
Yeah. What about some of the characters that you wrote during that time? Are there any notable characters that you really liked or you'd like to see in some one of these classic stories or on the big screen?
I wish I'd written X-Men and created a whole bunch of monsters and freaks.
Oh, really?
Well, I'm just looking at the residuals pouring in from these characters people created 30 years ago.
Yeah.
They did use my character, Microchip.
Yeah.
But they changed him from my version, which was this slovenly character like the mailman on Steinfeld, and their Microchip was kind of a nervous family guy.
Yeah, I remember that, and it was a very strange thing, and it didn't feel like, because Microchips really sold out to the whole Punisher thing, right? Like your version of Microchip is because you even didn't you do a miniseries about Microchip?
I can't remember.
Yeah, I think you did. Like, I read that you had done some kind of an origin story.
I think I did. Yeah.
So it seems like Microchip is he's really like a fan of what the Punisher's doing, and he's sold out to what the Punisher's doing.
Well, yeah, to a degree, but the reason Microchip exists is because the Punisher demanded it. The Punisher could not have done all this stuff solely on his own. He's got to have tech support.
Right.
Yeah.
So I got some questions.
All right.
First one I got is from Bruce Patnod, who's also Mike. He's a fantastic artist, a good friend of ours, and a big supporter. But he said, Mike, do you have any? Did you do any other work for Kitchen Sink before doing Nexus?
Well, Kitchen Sink and Nexus are mutually exclusive, but I did write for Dennis Kitchen's several of his magazines. I did 2 stories with Rand Holmes and a couple other stuff. I wish I could remember the titles right now. Snarf, I think I was in Snarf, but the Rand Holmes stories were both serious science fiction. I Google it right now, but I'm on this interview. All you got to do is Google Rand Holmes, Mike Barron, Kitchen Sink, and those stories will pop up.
Cool. Awesome. And we have another one, our Derricos Galvin, our buddy Cody, who actually is also putting out a great Indiegogo. It's going to come out soon called Wisdom Comes. Everybody check that out. And he says, Mike, I missed the beginning. You may have mentioned it, but how long have you been writing comics?
Since 1981.
1981. Dang. So we were talking about the Badger, and you said that you did that in
82.
82. That's wild. So what got you into it as a writer myself? I'm interested in what was it that drew you to this medium? Was it
Oh, you mean comics?
Yeah.
Well, I always loved comics ever since I picked up Uncle Scrooge as a child. And when I got to college, a couple of friends showed me Neil Adams and Steranko, and
okay, yeah,
and I was off and running.
Yeah.
So you were drawn to the art of it?
Yes.
Okay, right on.
A good story was always just a bonus for me at the time.
It's funny because so I'm very much the same way. Even as a writer, the art is ultimately what started it. And I've heard other people say the same thing. I don't think I've ever heard anybody yet heard a writer say, "Oh, I'm sure there's some out there," but say, "Man, it was real. It really was the story is what really got me first. I didn't really care about the art. I was, I just started with the story." So,
yeah, as far as I've got this soapbox thing, Mike, that I've been preaching, and it's that comic books are the greatest storytelling medium. And the reason I believe that is because I don't think that movies or animation have caught up with the sort of scope of what a comic book can produce at a much cheaper level, at a much easier entry rate. And I was interested, because you got into comics early, but now you're doing novels. So what do you see as sort of the highest form of storytelling?
Well, I think all 3 of those mediums, I throw in movies too, all 3 of those mediums can grab you by the throat and draw you into the story to the exclusion of all else. And that's good storytelling. But comics have their strengths and their weaknesses. You're absolutely right about comics being the most universal medium. In that you'll accept things in a comic that you would not readily accept in any other medium, except now today we've been trained to. But back in the day, you have Flaming Carrot, the Fabulous Furry Freak Brothers,
Yeah.
Doctor Strange, Adam Strange, interdimensional space-spanning characters like the Silver Surfer and Thor. And you can legitimize these in comic by the strength of the art alone. The writing helps, and Stanley was a very good writer. On the other hand, comics are the worst medium for horror. But they keep doing horror comics because people love them. Well, why is it the worst medium? It's because the monster they draw, no matter how horrible, can't match the monster you conjure in your imagination when you're reading a novel by a really skilled storyteller like Robert R. McCammon. And the movies succeed because they control so much. You can always just close the comic and set it aside. You know it's a piece of paper, but when you're sitting in a movie theater, they're controlling the pace and the sound. And the sound is so important in a modern horror film. You'd scare the bejesus out of people with just the soundtrack alone.
Yeah, right.
That's very interesting. I think in horror comics, it's all about that page turn, right? You have to really
All comics, all storytelling is based on what happens next.
Yeah.
Right.
What you can't see, right? Like the thing that you have to turn to see, or you have to like wait for.
Well, you have to want to see, and that's when you know the story is working. If you're flipping through the comic and you're thinking, nah, I'm not entertained, and you set it aside, that's not working, you know?
Yeah.
And good storytelling is all about what happens next.
That's right.
Wow. Well, I wanted to ask you a couple of questions. We've probably got a couple more in the chat, but I wanted to get a couple more in here before our time is over. And I wanted to ask you about your experience with crowdfunding, because you have traditionally worked with publishers, and now you're working in crowdfunding, like on Indiegogo and stuff like that. So can you talk about like which is preferable, or what you like about either one? Like, how do you compare the two?
Well, I would prefer to get a regular paycheck from a big publisher, but naturally, I would also like to write my own creations. They give me more joy and satisfaction than anybody else. As much as I love Punisher and Flash and Star Wars, I would rather write Nexus and Badger and Florida Man. And because of that, I have to make my own opportunities. It's not like it was in the 80s and 90s when publishers were very generous with what they would publish. Now they're counting each dime. Sales are way down. The comics industry is shrinking, unfortunately. There are only two growth areas. One is graphic novels because they have bookstore distribution, and the other is crowdfunded comics, which have created an alternative to the company product. And I'm turning to crowdfunding because that's the only way to get it done. We crowdfunded Cue Ball. I don't know if you saw Cue Ball. Only one issue is out, the one we published, but we're going to get picked up by a major publisher in the fall.
Cool.
Wow.
And Cue Ball is a martial arts espionage thriller. Speaking of tightly choreographed martial arts, you should check that out.
Cue Ball. Okay, cool.
Definitely.
And we're crowdfunding Indiegogo because that's Ben's baby, and he's the publisher of Cautionary Comics. And that's how he does it. That's the only way we can get this comic out is to put it before the people and say, "Baby, you got to have this."
Yeah. So you're kind of working for a publisher who's using crowdfunding in a sense, right? With
yes.
Yeah. So that's where you feel pretty comfortable in that setting, like with, like, do you like the interaction with, like, direct interaction with fans? Because that's one thing about crowdfunding is that, you get on YouTube or you get on Facebook or whatever, and you talk directly to people who are backing your comic. Do you like to have a little separation between the end user and yourself in the sense of a publisher?
No, I like to talk directly to the fans.
Yeah, during the process, because I think that's the one thing that's like really different about crowdfunding is while the thing's being made, you watch the artist draw it and you listen to the writer.
Now, let me just mention here that I'm on Twitter as @BloodyRedBaron. And I'm on Facebook. I have a Mike Baron writer page, and it's just Mike Baron. And, if you want to get in touch with me, you can always do it that way.
Yeah, and I see that you're very active on all those spaces too, so that's awesome. Is there anything that surprised you about crowdfunding?
It's very fickle. And these massive crowdfunders depend on the creators being a presence on social media almost 24/7. They're on every night.
Yeah.
YouTube channel. Now, as I understand it, you have to have 1,000 followers before they let you go live on YouTube. And I don't have anywhere near that, but some of my friends do, and they've been very successful. However, we're trying to do this strictly on the strength of the story alone, because a lot of my friends have attracted a lot of interest and financing by being very controversial. And I'm not interested in controversy. I'm interested in entertainment.
Yeah, absolutely.
Right. Yep.
Absolutely.
Yep. 100%.
Yeah, we're kind of in the same boat where we're trying to sell the value of the story without any kind of like, salty conversation. We're just here to make comics. And sometimes it feels like that might not be enough to get noticed in the space. Yeah. It can be difficult.
Hey, I got another question in the chat. Christopher C is asking Hunter S. Thompson or Ernest Hemingway.
I met Hunter S. Thompson.
Oh, wow.
Yeah, he was pickled. Yeah, he was in Boston. He was with an old friend of mine who's a sports writer.
That's wild.
He was pickled too. Ernest Hemingway is a far greater writer, far
Okay.
greater, with much more lasting influence. And I like Hunter S. Thompson, but he was no Ernest Hemingway.
Okay. Very cool.
I've got another
That's a
entertainment
great story.
question for you, Mike. What is the greatest Bruce Lee movie of all time?
Enter the Dragon.
Yes, that's my opinion too. Macho, do you know Enter the Dragon?
I do know Enter the Dragon. I can't say that I have seen it recently, or that I could tell you the plot very well at the moment, but I do know it.
Mike, can you help Macho understand the greatness of Bruce Lee and why Enter the Dragon is the best movie?
Well, it's got Hollywood production values, and the script compared to the other Bruce Lee movies is Shakespeare, although it's no great shakes and it climaxes way too early. But it's a showcase for Bruce.
Yeah.
There's never been a screen presence like him because of his intensity and skill.
Right.
Yeah, and I thought the guy who played, I can't remember his name off the top, but the guy who plays the main boss, right, actually does a pretty good job of countering like the huge presence of Bruce Lee. This guy is evil, and he's a good, nasty, bad guy. And he really does a good job of like squaring off against Bruce Lee, not just with skill, but with acting and with presence.
You mean the guy with the iron hand?
Yes. Yeah.
Han.
Yes.
Han.
Yeah. He's a good bad guy. And Bruce Lee movies need a really big bad guy because especially like, you know, in all of them, he's going through bosses to get to the main guy.
But let's talk about my favorite martial arts movie for just a second, and that is The Last Dragon. Have you seen that movie?
Many years ago. I wouldn't mind seeing it again.
It was on Netflix. I had not seen it until a couple years ago. Mutt even might have been the one that told me to watch it.
Yeah. And
I watched that movie, and I've never laughed like that in a movie. Like it's martial art. It's still martial arts, but it's hilarious. And the villain in that movie is fantastic. If anybody hasn't seen The Last Dragon, you should go watch that right now.
My favorite martial arts movies are the Ip Man movies starring Don.
Oh yeah, Ip Man is fantastic.
So good. I love Ip Man. So okay, Mike, I've finished all my questions. I don't think there's any more questions in the chat. Macho, do you have any last questions that you'd like to ask Mike?
Oh man. I guess I have a couple writing questions just because I have you here captive for a couple more minutes, and I want to milk out as much professional insight as I can. But like for me, in my writing, I've said it before. I'm as far as a writer and a storyteller, I feel like I'm a very strong storyteller, but I don't have what am I trying to say here? So I always kind of go through this ritual of like sitting down, and I turn on some music that doesn't have like words. Like I try to get something that I don't have to think about. I like put myself somewhere by myself, but it's this ritual. Do you have any rituals that you like to go through when you start writing, or is it like you just grab your coffee, you sit down, and you just go to town?
Well, that is my ritual, and I've been doing it all my life. You know, I start in the morning. I get up, I make coffee, I read my mail,
yeah,
run through Facebook, and then I turn to my projects.
Gotcha. And one more that I have that I always like to ask writers is, as far as what inspires you, is it other writers? Is it other comic projects? Or, I mean, obviously it could be anything. Is there anything in particular that gives you inspiration?
Well, inspiration could come from anywhere. I'm always receptive to everything around me. I always carry a notepad at all times and a pen.
Mm-hmm.
Anything strikes my eye or my ear, I'll write it down. Like I said, Florida Man just kept coming at me until I got the message.
Right.
I was supposed to write a Florida Man comic and then a novel. Biker is a summation of so many influences throughout my life. But again, it's my homage to Travis McGee and John D. McDonald. Sometimes you just want to write a certain type of story,
Sure.
like a thriller or a revenge story or a love story. And then you start thinking, well, how does this love story happen? Who does it involve? It depends entirely on the protagonist. So let's get some sympathetic and interesting protagonists together. And when you work on a story long enough and you make your characters real enough, they'll start dictating the story to you. And that's when you know you're on the right path.
So for something like Offworlder, where correct me if I'm wrong, is that Ben's comic, but you're the writer? Is that correct?
It's Ben's concept.
Yeah, Ben's concept, and you're the writer for the book. So,
Yes.
how was it that you got inspired to do that? Like, since it's another creator's kind of IP.
Well, he gave me his outline, and as I said before, I always write a detailed outline ahead of time.
Uh-huh.
And when I say I want that outline to be fun to read, that means it has to be fun for me to write. So I first of all, I don't type anything. I start making notes in my legal pad, who the character is, where it takes place. And because it involved Egypt, it sent me to books on Egypt, and that helped to inspire me, knowing the history at the time and being able to incorporate that into the story. That's exciting because it turns out that Ben set his story in the 6th century, and I looked up what was happening in the 6th century, and Alexandria, the Library of Alexandria, was under siege by a Muslim navy, and that's in the story, and it works its way into the woof and the warp of the story, which is about survival and war and competing civilizations, and it's just thematic, and it helps the story to resonate.
Right. Okay. Awesome. Yeah, I guess that's something that I try to exercise myself in writing, and that's something that, writing somebody else's story is something that I feel like that's a skill you have to develop. I mean, like anything else, but it's one that is that I think personally I need to work on more if I want to grow as a writer. But yeah, awesome. All right.
Cool.
I'm done interrogating the prisoner.
Thank you. Good Dog Press was like, let Mike go free. Mike, we really appreciate your time. You feel you're more than welcome to leave at this point if you want to. I'm going to take a couple of minutes and I'm going to show Hero Blood of Patriots, which is our campaign. So if you'd like to look at that, feel free to stay. If you have things to do,
I got to go, boys. My wife is landing in Seattle, and she's about to phone me in any minute. But thank you for having me. It was an honor. And listen, send me your email, will you, via private message on Twitter?
Absolutely will. And thank you very much for your time.
You're Mike, welcome. It's a pleasure having you. Thanks so much for talking with us.
Thanks, guys.
All right. Bye-bye. All right, guys. We're going to show Hero Blood of Patriots. You guys know the drill.
Hey, one sec. You just said bye-bye to Mike Barron. You just said bye-bye to Mike Barron, yeah.
I went bye-bye?
Yeah, you said bye-bye.
I don't think I did. I said
bye. You should watch that later.
Are you sure?
Yeah, I'm sure.
Oh, no.
Like you're talking to your kid.
I bye-byed Mike Barron.
That was awesome.
I was a little bit fanboying a little bit, because he's a pretty prolific writer, man. He's been around the block.
Yeah. I had kind of a similar situation earlier. So I want everybody to know I said something really dumb earlier, and I said it in the chat too. I did that joke. I was like, I'm not good with words, and then nobody laughed. And I was like, I'm bad with my words, and I just got like nobody laughed, nobody said anything, and I was like, oh,
you were joking.
And, yeah, I was like making a joke, and then he was. I mean, I am bad with my words if I'm just talking, right? But he just like looked at, was like looking into the camera, and I was like, oh gosh, why did I say that? Why did I think that was a good thing to say?
Well, I didn't know you were joking, or I would have probably laughed.
And Cody says he laughed in real life. Yeah, I bet it was real funny. I bet it was funny to watch me just stumble
when you said, "I'm not good
Oh,
with
man.
words."
I'm not good with words. Oh,
Okay.
I know. And Chris says, "Oh, scroll up." I noticed. Oh, I know that you noticed, Chris.
Yeah,
I
I know you
know.
did. I know. Chris, it's
And
so good to have you back. It feels
it,
warm and fuzzy when you come into the tent.
yeah, you hadn't been around. There's been nobody to bust our balls, so
Yeah.
it's good to have you back, sir. And Bruce says, "Nice work, guys. Good stream." Thank you, Bruce. I
Thanks,
needed some
Bruce.
positive encouragement,
Thanks.
buddy.
Even though he said he was not good with words, and I bye-bye Mike Barron.
Yeah, that's right. All right, let's get to the most important part
We've
right now.
already finished the most important part.
Well,
But let's talk about our project.
yeah, good idea. Let's do that. He didn't think my hero joke was funny either. He didn't even bat an eye at that.
He doesn't know what you're talking about, man. That guy's not he's not in tune with that
I
kind
know
of
he's above our pay grade.
Definitely. And that's okay. It was cool that he came on to talk to us.
It was very cool, yeah.
All right, so yeah, Hero Blood of Patriots, guys. We've been sitting at 56.96 for like 5 days or something. And we have not broken 5,700, and we're $4 away, and it's killing me. I just want to see 5,700 just because. So please share it out. Please talk about it with your friends and family. There's so many people who would love this comic. They don't really understand how awesome it's going to be. We're going to put our heart and soul into this thing. It's going to be fun. If nothing else, if this fails in every way, shape, and form, the only place this comic will not fail is in the category of fun. We will make sure of that. This is a fun comic book.
100%.
100.
100%.
So yeah, we would like to see that move up. We've got some great perks still available. The digital is only $5. That one digital would put us over 5,700, guys. So please share it out. Please, go to somebody's house and tell them that they've got to do that. Or
your grandma needs a copy. Get her a copy for Christmas. Your grandma will love it.
Yeah.
Aunt Donna would love it.
Yeah.
Get Aunt Donna a copy.
That's right.
It's gonna be great.
Aunt Donna loves stuff like this.
Like it's good reading material for anywhere in the car, on a plane.
Aunt Donna is she's a little strange anyway. She likes
definitely
stuff like
strange.
Yeah.
Definitely loves some yeah.
Yeah. And she's a more masculine woman than so your Aunt Donna's gonna love it. So just get it for her. You can see what it's all about. We've actually still got a couple of these Volk's blades left. So if anybody wants to be in the comic and want to have your name on one of Volk's blades and be a victim and be enshrined in hero lore for all time and space, you can be in this comic. So that's just a mere simple $75 spend. You'd spend that on a pair of shoes that will probably last you maybe a year. And then after that, you're going to throw them away. But for 75 measly dollars, you can be in the hero comic, which will be for all time and all space for all eternity. Right. So you definitely want to do that. That's it. That's my spiel today. I hope you guys are having an awesome day. And I really hope that you're, enjoying life and having a good time with comic books. Masha, you got anything else?
No, man, I think you covered it. I think you did great. I don't have anything specific to say other than I'm not good with words, everyone.
I'm the writer for this comic and I'm not good with words.
I thought I was like, this will be real funny. This will be a funny thing to say to a guy who's a great writer, and he just looked right into the camera and he gave me that I'm disappointed in you look, and I was like, oh God. Wow,
Mike Barron faced down a group of boom boxers on a subway.
On a subway, yep.
And he didn't at that time really know how to fight. And he stepped up and faced them down.
Yeah.
Ready to turn that crap off.
Yeah.
I love that story.
That's a fantastic story.
And then after that, he started his karate. And that dude is like a black belt for real.
Is he real?
He really is a black belt, yeah.
I am pretty excited to read Florida Man. I bet that's going to be great.
It's going to be really. He's got a great sense of humor, which is why I think he didn't laugh at your joke.
Yeah, you're exactly right. That's probably exactly why.
All right. Well, I'm going to let you off the hook, and I really appreciate your presence here today, Macho.
Oh, gosh. Okay. Yeah.
You always brighten up the day.
I know. All right. Everybody, thanks for coming. Septinov, Derricos Galvin, Mutt, make a quick secret perk for $4.
Hey, I'll do it. If I have to, I will. But I'm hoping somebody will get at least get a digital copy. But it's over 57.
Bruce just opened a can of worms. I thought it was going to be about a fight over whether Liefeld could draw or not.
Man, listen, don't even get it started. I'm really trying to calm down about that because I didn't realize, honestly, since you opened it up, Bruce.
Oh gosh, here we go.
I didn't realize how sensitive so many people were to this topic. I mean, people really hold Liefeld near and dear to their heart. And if you talk bad about his artwork, some people get really mean and nasty.
Is it shocking that people hold an icon in the comic industry close to their heart?
Well,
isn't that shocking?
I think it all depends on your definition of the word icon. If you mean icon of 13-year-old artwork, yeah, then yeah. But anyway, no, I'm thinking that I just need to be a little nicer on that because it's always been kind of just pointed at macho. But with more people hearing my opinion on it, I'm realizing that I got to fight a lot of people.
Yeah, you're gonna have to fight a lot of people.
There's a lot of people who are like, "Oh no, you didn't." Yeah, so I'm kind of watching my P's and Q's on the Liefeld commentary. But we might do it, man. What do you think? Should we just do it? I mean, just hash it out. I don't know.
Yeah. I mean, I think we should still do it.
Because you think you can win?
Yeah, because I know I can win. All right. Bruce said, not that macho, well respected in the industry, but technically good. Well, opinions vary. And Chris said, icon of twisted feet.
Oh man, I mean, dude, come on. These guys know. We don't have to hash it out. It's like picking on handicapped people. You just don't do it.
I don't even know how to respond to that.
All right, let's just leave it at that.
All right, let's just let it go.
All right, we'll let it go for now. Until it gets heated back up again. And it will eventually probably get heated back up, and we'll hash it out.
It'll happen. Everybody just wait. All right, guys. Everybody, thanks for coming. Derricos Galvin, good to see you. If I knew any Ekronique, I would say goodnight to you. So
you guys are way in on that now. That's awesome.
I'm into his book, man.
Man, well, I'm gonna get it, but like you're already into the lore and stuff.
Dude, I know the language, I know the map. I got all kind. I'm in on 100%.
Deep in. That's great. Well, you'll have to help me understand it better than when I get the book. Okay.
Yeah, I'll teach you how to read like I had to do with English too. It'll be fun.
Oh, bad.
Yeah.
I wish Mike Barron was here to be silent at you.
I know he'd be silent at me.
He'd be like this. Hey, he was totally cool though, wasn't
he? He was awesome. It was an honor to have him on the show.
All right. Well, we'll let you guys go. Have a great evening. Peace.
Peace out, everybody.